Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Michelle, and today I am playing with another one of Marlene's beautiful little faces in her cut and paste block. I'm working in my perfect size journal and I'm doing a double spread, so I'm just looking for 2 pages that I can quickly pop out. Then I will tape them together at the back with some stencil tape, just to keep them as a whole so they don't shift around while I'm working. So I found this beautiful girl with the orange hair, and I guess I've been struggling a little bit with the fact that we are all, I'm talking now like about YouTubers and people that create for Marlene, we're all using the same elements, and I kind of feel like our pages are all looking the same. Even though everybody's got their own different style and they make their own everybody's got their own little take on what these faces can be and how they can work on pages. But still the colors in that are the same. So I wanted to change this girl's hair to a different color. So I've cut her out of her background and I decided to do a purple head of hair. I chose purple because she's got the purple dots in her wings. And I thought that, that gave me kind of a jumping off point as to the color choice that I will make. You also know that I do struggle with orange, so it's kind of a 2-in-1 for me where I don't have to have orange on my page, and I'm making her my own. In the original picture, she had some stenciling in her hair anyway, of also like a florally leafy kind of thing. So I wanted to put that back in again, and I'm using the falling leaf stencil, and I used some lavender, and I'm using fuchsia, and I'm just doing some reductive stenciling all around her face and her hair, or all in her hair, just to give it a little bit of texture and interest, and just to in keeping with the way that she was originally. Her cheeks were also a little bit orange, so I've just taken some ballet paint on my finger and smudged it on her cheeks so that they are now pink. And again, taking inspiration from what I already have on my paper element, I decided to do a pink background for this girl. I thought that the purple would stand up really nicely against the pink, and I'm also obsessed with pink, so it was a win-win. So I've started off with ballet in 3 spots, peony in 3 spots, and then I grabbed some clotted cream because I wanted to add a little bit of brightness to that background, but not necessarily white. So the clotted cream is like an ivory kind of color, so it has a warm undertone and it works really, really well with the pinks. I'm also going in with I think it's Funky, that's the neon pink from Marlene's range, and also fuchsia. So fuchsia is a purpley kind of pink, and I'm just coloring patches of 3. I don't mind the brush strokes. I actually really enjoy the brush strokes that I can see on my page. And then I started blending some ballet and clotted cream together, and I'm just doing a little dot of each color and then blending them with my brush, and I really, really like the way that turned out. Sometimes when my paint doesn't want to move all that well because I don't have enough on my page, I just quickly dip my paintbrush into some water, and then that helps to move it a bit. So I'm just playing back and forth until I have a background that I'm happy with. Obviously it's not going to stay like this. There will be some work done to it. And then I quickly bring my girl back onto my paper to see where she's going to sit and if the colors that I used are good enough. I'm going in with this hexagon star stencil, and again just in 3 spots doing some reductive stenciling. And it is important to me to stick to the same colors that I already have in my background. So I'm only using the pinks and the fuchsia, and I think I'll use some clotted cream, maybe not. If I wanted to, going over the top with the blues, so mermaid and azure, would look beautiful. It would add a lot of contrast to the page, but I didn't want to go with too much of a crazy background because I really wanted the girl to stand up off the background. And then instead of using white, I'm going in again with clotted cream, and I'm just doing mark making with my brush, simply dipping the tip of my brush into the paint and then smooshing it onto my paper to make these kind of squarey, circly kind of looking shapes. Then I decided, because her wings have dots in them, I wanted to also add dots to the background just to pull the elements together. I really like to take inspiration from what I have that I'm working with and building my backgrounds with it. It takes the guesswork out of it for me, number one, so it's kind of a lazy trick. But it also creates some continuity and just brings everything together, and it helps to make everything make sense. So I glued my girl down using Marlene sticky glue, and now I'm going in with some fuchsia paint, and I'm just doing the same mark making as I did before, just to add a little bit more interest into that background. And I was really happy with the way the background turned out then. I love paging through my journal, and there's this beautiful pink bright page in my journal. Oh, I didn't glue her down. I'm doing that now. Such a liar I am. Okay, I'm not gluing her to one side of the page, and I'm not gluing her right in the center. So I'm putting her kind of off center, even though she's on the join of the page. At the end, I will cut through that join. I did make sure, though, that I don't glue the eye over the join because I didn't want to cut into that eye. I also decided to change her eye color. So they used to be brown. I've got brown eyes, but I never give my girls brown eyes. And so she's got blue eyes now, and I thought that they really, really just popped off the page. So that made me quite happy. And I'm just adding the white highlights back in there. And then I also wanted to give her a little bit of a flower crown. And I'm going to use my falling leaf stencil. And I'm just going to add a couple of bits on the side of her head there. This image lends itself really, really well to add a little cluster of something on the side of her head. I really like that little empty space. Of course, you could leave it empty, or you could just add a crown or a bird or whatever, or another little person or something, but I chose to do the leaves. I love that falling leaf stencil. I've used it so many times, and I've actually ordered a second one because I don't want this one to be the last one that I have. I'd rather have an extra backup one in case something happens to this one. So I went in and stenciled my leaves in first with some Amsterdam acrylic white paint. It's a really, really opaque paint, and that is just to block the background out so that when I put the color over the top, it would pop off the page. And then I went in with my acrylic paint markers from Marlene and just colored them in. And I've got some pre-made falling leaves and flowers that I've done a while ago. And I'm just going to find a couple to use on the side of her head. The minute that I put the yellow leaf on there, I knew I had to have the yellow leaf on there. It just added such a beautiful bright pop of color, but it was just a little bit too chunky. So all I did is just trim around the edge to make the leaves a little bit thinner. And then I'm going to glue that down and also stick the little pre-made flower that I have there on top. So it looks like everything comes out from behind her head. That flower kind of hides where the that sharp edge of the yellow leaf joins into the hair. Now I'm going to do some shading on my leaves, and I'm just using my coloring pencils and really just doing a little bit of shadowing into those leaves. I will also later on add a highlight and an outline. And I really wanted to give this girl a little pocket friend. So what I'm doing is using some scraps that I have left in my cut and paste block, and I'm cutting a little pocket for her, like a little kangaroo pouch, and I'm going to glue just a thin little line of glue around the bottom and the sides and glue that down. I did not realize that I went over the join with that, so I had to in the end glue the bigger part, the side of the bigger part on the left page on again, but that's okay. Then to give it a little bit more interest, I wanted to add a rub-on. Sometimes my rub-ons don't work so well, but I got it on there. In hindsight, I think I should have left the rub-on off because I took away all that pattern that was on that paper. But anyway, it's fine. It still works. I'm outlining my little pocket. And then I think, yes, I take some time and grab some elements from my paper elements book to find a little friend for her. I grabbed a few options there, but in the end, the one that I chose actually has the same colors that's in my girl. So she's got purple and she's got a blue bow in her head on her hat, and she's got blue eyes as well, and she's holding a little yellow teddy. So when you pull her out the pocket, everything ties together. I'm quickly doing an outline around all of her head and her hair and her face, and I'm defining her features again. I'm outlining the flowers or the leaves. I like to do this, number one, to just pop everything off the background, define everything. And number two, it kind of trains my hand to make those shapes. So I'm working on the muscle memory in my hand to make those shapes. And thirdly, whenever I've got a printed element like this girl's face, I like to add the black back in, because black doesn't print as a true black. Black will always print more of a grayish tone. And I like to have my black things nice and dark, so you can really see the definition in the eyes and whatever. Going to give her a little bit of a outline with my Stabilo All pencil, and I'm doing some shadows. So again, I'm not doing it all around the whole girl. I'm kind of imagining where light would be coming from, so kind of underneath the wings, under the chin, under the hair, and just on one side of the body. I would normally do my shadowing, and then just under some of the leaf shapes as well. Otherwise, it can kind of look a little bit boring or monotonous. I wanted to cover that little symbol on her forehead somewhat, so I'm just going in with some white paint and just doing it with my finger, blending some paint on there with my finger. You can still see the little symbol there, but that's okay. And then her earrings, I'm using my Special Effects silver paint, and I'm just making her earrings silver. And then inside her hair, I chose to go in with my punk paint. That is the neon purple paint from Marlene. And I'm just adding some definition into that hair. So it just gives a little bit more interest in that hair. And I'm going to give everything a dry. And now I'm adding little pearls in her hair. I'm just going straight from Marlene's white lace paint, just straight from the tube, and doing little dots in her hair to make pearls. I really, really love the way that looks. And also when you feel over my page, you can actually feel the definition of the paint, which is really nice. It adds an extra little texture and fun element. Again, just defining the whole lot, highlights here and there and everywhere. And I am drying in between so I don't smudge anything. I also decided that her cheeks needed a little bit of a pink highlight. And now I'm going to take my tape off the back and cut her and cut the pages in half. And then you'll see that the pocket, I messed up with the pocket, but it's okay. I did manage to glue it back on again, and I did manage to give her little pocket friend a good secure home so she's not falling out all over the place. Okay, her friend was a little bit, her legs were a little too long, so I just chopped them off. And now she's a legless little friend, but she's there anyway. And then I found a quote in the luxury quotes, and it says, "Enjoy what is rather than longing for what might be." I'm just going to glue them down and do a little shadow underneath all of them again with my Stabilo All pencil. So just wanted to thank you guys for being here. Thank you for all your lovely comments and likes. I really, really appreciate that you watch my videos, and I really appreciate when you leave me comments. I love reading your comments and hearing from you. If you are new here, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. I do upload a video twice a week, on a Monday and on a Tuesday and a Friday. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here, and I'll chat to you again soon. Bye.